Joining me now is Congressman André Carson, Democrat of Indiana. Congressman, thank you for joining us, and happy holiday weekend to you. We start tonight with the uncertainty surrounding the president-elect's promised tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports, along with the additional 10% hike he says he'll add on to all Chinese goods coming into the U.S. Trump says he'll take these actions on day one, even though experts are warning that costs could explode for American consumers and businesses. How should House Democrats respond?
Well, I think the House Democratic leadership is on it, led by my friend, Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Experts agree, Reverend, that the tariffs that the president-elect is proposing could rapidly increase inflation. We've just seen the threat that he has made against the BRICS nations who are threatening to get away from the dollar. So, tariffs in President Trump's first term did very little to impact the economy. It didn't deliver on the factory jobs he promised. And this time, the impact could be far worse. The tariffs that he is proposing are much bigger and far more dangerous. And these actions are estimated to directly raise prices on consumer goods up by $4,000 a year for the average American family.
Now, Trump ran for president promising to bring down costs for consumers. Yet some experts are warning his proposed tariffs could harm the Midwest, in particular, where you serve the Midwest as a congressman, because of its reliance in the Midwest on heavier reliances than other regions on imported goods like crude oil and from Mexico and Canada. Neither of which does Trump intend to exclude from these tariffs. If that happens, do you think Trump and Republicans will pay the price during midterm elections in the states like Indiana in 2026?
It would be most unfortunate for them, but it would be certainly a gain for the Democrats. But far worse, the American people, and Hoosiers especially, will have to pay a price because of these very damaging proposals, Reverend.
Now, Trump and his allies have insisted that our nation's immigrants are a drain on the U.S. economy, to be fixed in part, they say, with mass deportations. But with Trump almost back in the White House, our nation's construction and food industries are getting nervous about what's going to happen if he carries his deportation plan out. That includes America's farm sector, where nearly half of its 2 million workers lack legal status, as is the case with many dairy and meatpacking workers. Can Trump's promised purge be stopped in Washington, Congressman? Is there legislation that can block this from happening?
Well, there's a series of legislation that I'm a part of that will roll out in the next session. I think in addition to the human toll on mass deportation, there's an economic toll, as we know. I'm in favor of safe borders, but the administration's current plan would be devastating to families in our economy. And we can't forget, Reverend, these are families that have been here for years, as you know, and in some cases, decades. They are a part of our communities, just like any other family, and they're a part of our economy, just like any other worker. So we certainly have a workforce shortage, and this plan would certainly make it worse. In addition, this plan would take a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer dollars. It's estimated that this plan could conservatively cost over $300 billion. I'm not sure our country can afford it right now.
$300 billion to go through the deportation plan he has proposed. Let me go to another subject. Earlier today, we learned another stunning Trump appointment. Charles Kushner, father of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's married to Ivanka Trump, has been nominated to be U.S. ambassador to France. Now, you may remember Trump pardoned Kushner in 2020 after he served a 2-year prison sentence for preparing false tax returns, witness retaliation, and making false statements to the Federal Election Commission. Of course, Kushner is far from the only nominee with substantial baggage that Senate Republicans must get confirmed with a narrow majority or face Trump's wrath. his other selections, like Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth, and haven't made their job easier. Yet it appears many are circling around him despite multiple scandals just to appease Trump. How do you think these confirmation battles are going to go once they get started next year?
Well, like many Americans, Reverend, and many of my colleagues, I'm deeply concerned about many of these possible appointments, in addition to allegations of rape and misconduct. But, it's up to my colleagues in the Senate to confirm or not confirm these appointments, quite frankly. I sincerely hope they look at who was capable of doing the job, to do the right thing for our country and not just be rubber stamps for the Trump administration. And while I do believe that President Trump is a patriot, I think in the meantime, we have to get beyond the rhetoric and work together to rebuild, mobilize, and push policies that are actually helping working people. The extremist policies of Project 2025, I think, will not put food on the table or even lower costs for everyday families. They will not create more jobs or even grow the middle class. But we've seen this before, and this is what the president-elect has done in the past. He likes to push the envelope. He's a provocateur. He likes pageantry. But I think that these things create diversions, and it's time to see what his administration can do to work with Democrats and bring us together to do what's right for the American people.
We're out of time, but let me ask you, what do you think the priority for Democrats should be this Monday when they go back to work?
Well, I think under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries and Catherine Clark and Pete and others, I think it's time for us to really look at districts. What may work in one region of the country may not be applicable in the industrialized Midwest or in the South. And so I think we have to look at ways in which our regional differences can coalesce around an agenda that speaks to everyday people. The appeal to even who we recruit in the future. It may have to be going to non-traditional places. You and I are very non-traditional, Rev. It may be going to someone and recruiting the adult learners, someone who comes out of a community college setting, someone who comes out of a trade setting where they went to trade school. These are everyday folks that the Democratic Party has been missing, and it's time for recalibration, but we have the leadership to do it.
All right. Thank you, Indiana Congressman André Carson. Thank you. Always good to have you on.